The latest mock draft dealings are out. Gavoni and Wu. The tandem. They've double-teamed us.
The power team.
Yeah, it's power hour. Clock's ticking, Neil.
Yes, it is.
With the 7th pick in the NBA draft, they got us going. Donovan Clingan.
I have a hard time seeing him being there at 7. And I don't know anything about how this draft's going to shake out. that would be a surprise to me if he's there at 7.
That's basically what they say in the write-up is if he is available to them at 7, they are going to be ecstatic. So they wrote this. This is from Jeremy Wu. Portland would presumably be thrilled with that, as Clingan is the best player available and would supply a long-term defensive backbone for a team still laying foundation in the front court.
We need a cornerstone.
Let's read tea leaves. Schmitz has told Gavoni, so Gavoni's told Wu. And DeAndre Ayton, we love you. You're not long for this place.
No.
That's how I read that.
I mean, that's the way I view all their veterans right now, because when you think about it rationally and not irrationally, they are likely 3, 4, 5 years away from doing anything significant. And DeAndre Ayton's relatively young, but
he is. I was going to say, DA's not very old.
He's not that old.
He's 25.
I know, but
he's going to be 26 in July.
So you fast forward, let's say it takes 5 years to get to where you want to go, which it might take 5 years.
5 years from now would be crazy.
I mean,
no, I know. I'm just saying,
you?
like 5 years, then he's 31, and then
sure.
to your point,
and then so I think that's the thing. I don't look at him as this young piece on the same timeline as Scoot and Shane, and maybe that's mistaking to some, but I think if you have a chance to get Clingan on a more affordable contract, I think you jump at that opportunity at 7. I just, again, don't think he's going to be there at 7.
I'll give you a hot take. You get Clingan, I'd offer DA at the deadline.
I would too.
I'd be like, yo, you play here for a couple months.
Let's go out, but we'll have a great first half of the year.
Go do what you did at the end of last year.
We'll find you a good spot because we will trade you wherever you want to go, evidently.
That's 100%. Well, no, but that seems to be the method, right, is make the former Blazers feel good so they maybe hype up the future Blazers about Portland as a destination.
Yeah.
Certainly a game that they're playing. And then at 14, this is why we will talk about Jacoby Walter. He is a shooting guard / small forward is how he's listed on his draft profile. Dirt mentioned, though, he is 6'4". He is projected on their mock at 14.
Yep.
And he's been at that a couple times in some different mocks. So Jacoby Walter, the other one for them at 14.
Seems like it's a name that's picked up a little bit of steam here in the last few weeks. I feel like our first month of mock draft season, I didn't see a lot of him listed with the Blazers, and now it again continues to show up occasionally with the 14th overall pick with Portland going that route. I got a lot of questions at the bottom of the hour.
Okay.
You know how I feel about guards. He's 6'4".
Yes, he is.
That to me is a shooting guard in the NBA. He had moments this year.
Well, he's 6'4", barefoot.
Okay,
so he's
6'5".
Let's call it 6'5".
Okay, 6. I still view 6'5" as a guard, but again, that's a very larger guard, because especially considering what we're used to. Portland was 6'1" guards, but he didn't shoot the ball at a very great clip from 3, but not a lot of guys do in college. So how much potential is there for that aspect of his game to improve? How good of a defender is he? There's a lot of questions that I have because I just don't know much about him because he wasn't one of these household names that we've been kind of dealing with now for 2 months.
6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
So his arms are a little lengthy.
He's rangy.
And he's got a 38.5-inch vert.
Yeah.
So he's 6'5", probably plays in that 6'7".
Awesome athlete, man.
6'7"-ish range physically. That's probably why he's that slash.
Sure, but again, I feel like we did that with Shaden, and now watching Shaden for 2 years, I don't know if there's anybody that says, I want him to be my small forward.
No, I think that's a very fair point.
Because we thought, when they drafted him, that was kind of the thought of, all right, well, you got Dame, maybe he could play his way into a 3. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then you watch him, and you're like, dude, this is a perfect 2-guard. And if you needed a 2-guard, I would be all for this draft pick. I'm wondering where the role is, how the fit is, especially with the optimism around Shaden Sharp. How does that fit into your long-term plans?
If that's their draft, though, I mean, I've probably said this too many times, and I'm sorry if I have, but, like, is there really a scenario? Well, there probably is.
There definitely is.
Dillingham out of Kentucky.
Two guards. Two guards
Yeah,
is
you're
the
right.
scenario.
Okay, all right.
There is that scenario.
Is there a scenario, though, sub the guard thing that you're like, man, what a bad draft?
No, if you get Klingon at 7, I think you run and
I'd
you're
be pretty
happy.
excited about Klingon, to be honest with you.
You're thrilled. He's a great defensive
He's
big.
7'2".
Absolutely. He showed really good athlete. Looked like a really good athlete in college when he was moving. I would then, if this was your draft, I would want the follow-up questions to be very pointed towards Joe Cronin of how's this going to work out?
Well, I mean, can I get ahead of this?
Sure.
We need to go, but can I get ahead of that?
Yeah.
It's a very fair question, I think, to ask. If anybody's to ask it, I'm not going to go, how dare they ask that question? He's not going to give you a real answer.
No,
He's
but
not
I
going to be
want
like,
the-
well,
no.
DA's probably going to be out of here in about a year, and then Donovan will be our starting
Well, I don't even
center.
care about that. I'm fine with Klingon coming off the bench or playing, rotational minutes early on. I'm okay with that, at least for a half of a season. And I guess similar to Jacoby Walter, he doesn't have to be a starting 2-guard right out of the gate. He's a young kid. He's only 1 year in college. I don't like. How do you view the playing time? He is the same position as Shaden Sharp.
Oh, Walter?
Yes.
Well, he's going to be a bench guy.
Right, so and then what's happening with Anthony Simons? What's happening with Scoop? What's happening with Malcolm Brogdon?
They're going to have to probably delay. They're figuring out the roster situation to get these guys on the roster slot. There's not a lot of roster slots, so I think you're asking a very reasonably logical question that he's probably not going to really be able to answer. It's going to be politician. Let me dance around this.
Sure.
Because what's he going to say?
You're not going to get a good answer, but it should be asked.
I think Brogdon's going to get traded draft night.
He should.
That's what I think.
Should have been traded at the deadline.
We'll see. We'll see what the return is.
Yeah.
I can't pretend to know what the value was at the deadline versus the value of him now, and we have no clue.
Yeah, nobody has an idea.
But Klingon at 7, I'm with you. Don't know if he'll be there at 7, but in their scenario, he is. And all the intel has been like, Portland loves this guy.
Yeah.
He might be the guy they like the most. He might be.
I mean, I've seen random reports where he might go number 1 overall in the draft. Sarr won't even go to Atlanta for a workout.
Well, that's a weird story, too. Reese Shea is now the Vegas favorite.
Yes,
I
he
think
is.
Reese Shea has put himself at the number 1 spot. It's a potential pick, in terms of his ceiling could be pretty high. I think he's 6'10".
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, let's take the flyer in a bad draft on him. So Wu and Gavoni, Klingon, Jacoby Walter.